The man threw away his cigarette, then picked up a sniper rifle and aimed at the fund manager who had tricked him and destroyed his family. One shot later, the man dropped dead. Then he turned the gun toward the Wall Street building, aiming at the financial elites watching from inside. Jim believed they were all part of the same scheme, cold and greedy like vampires. Jim pulled out 2 grenades, packed the rifle into a bag, poured gasoline over it, and set it on fire. Then he calmly walked across the street, put on a white mask, and walked straight into the building across from him. Everyone was distracted by the noise outside. Jim got into the elevator and pressed the floor number of the investment bank that had scammed him. Inside the bank, people were busy working. Jim walked in with his gun. He aimed at one of the managers, ready to shoot, but then he saw a photo on the desk.
Please, my wife, she's pregnant.
He paused. The photo reminded him of his wife, and he chose to let the man go. But the others weren't so lucky.
Get back to your wife and be thankful, you prick.
At that moment, a large group of armed SWAT officers arrived and rushed to the floor where Jim was. Meanwhile, Jim walked into the boss's office. He told the 2 secretaries to leave and finally stood face to face with the man who had ruined his life. But Jim didn't shoot right away. He forced the boss to the other side of the desk, then sat down in the boss's chair and took off his mask. The boss stayed calm even with Jim pointing a gun at him. When he learned why Jim was there, he showed no fear or regret. Instead, he mocked Jim. He said no one became rich by being honest. He and his family would always be at the top, and people like Jim were born to be used and crushed. Jim was speechless after hearing that. He looked at the security cameras, then suggested a game. He put the gun on the table and started to count down from 3. Whoever grabbed the gun first would live, but the boss didn't wait. He grabbed the gun before Jim finished counting. He pulled the trigger with a smug smile, but nothing happened. The gun was empty. Just then, the SWAT team stormed in. Before the boss could react, the SWAT team thought he was the attacker and killed him on the spot. Jim quickly dropped to the floor and stayed still. They thought he was a hostage and pulled him out. When Jim got downstairs, someone put a hand on his shoulder. It was his friend from the police. He looked at Jim and instantly understood everything. But instead of asking questions, he gave Jim a firm look and walked him out.